Terry Gilliam's films are nothing if not dense in visual information. Whether in fantasy environments or in contemporary settings, the writer-director relishes creating worlds that appear real and lived in, so that the sets have as much to say about the film's story and themes as do the characters' dialogue. Gilliam's preferred method of working allows for all departments to contribute ideas in an organic, ad hoc approach to the film as a whole, which evolves from his own method of developing filmic ideas, which he described in a 1986 interview.
I work in a strange sort of magpie approach. I just start collecting things and sort of having an idea, a central idea works, to mix metaphors, it works like a magnet, and things just start sticking to it. I sit in a room with hundreds of books around me, so whenever I need an idea or something, I pull out the book and I Xerox it, and there's a copy of an idea for a costume, or there's a set idea, or there's an object that I like. So I gather as much stuff together as possible, which helps people start the process of actually designing the stuff.
According to production designer Norman Garwood, some of the visual sources that influenced Brazil's design were clippings and advertisements from 1930s and 40s magazines. Garwood.
There was a sort of deco feel which we wanted. Then it was these inventions that you would find in these 30s books, it was almost like the shape of the world to come, what people thought, armored vehicles would look like, in the 21st century, and what aeroplanes would look. That was a great source of inspiration.
Gilliam and Garwood also collected pictures that depicted arcane or skewed visions, odd angles, perspectives, or juxtapositions as captured by an artist or photographer that might lend themselves to visualizing the world of Brazil, whether it was architecture that prompted claustrophobia in the viewer or pictures of urban isolation. Images of industrial decay and mammoth machinery were also a potent source of inspiration for the infrastructure, pipework, and desolation that dominated the landscape of Sam Lowry's world. Costume designer James Atchison.
Gilliam's the sort of person that puts a toaster next to an answer machine and calls it a computer. I mean, what Gilliam has always enjoyed is the frisson when you put things together. Often they might be, extremely different, but that's what he's always enjoyed, that collage. And so the collage of the world of Brazil was cobbled from all sorts of areas and influences. I think with Gilliam there's always a chance of getting too far. In fact, that's what he's always pushing towards. That's why it's so exciting.
Garwood and his art directors John Beard and Keith Payne relied quite heavily upon the special effects crew to piece together many of the props. Garwood.
And it was a very big cooperative effort. We would just all go down and start assembling things, like the typewriters. That was basically just a lot of effort. We'd put a lot of stuff together, and then we'd get Terry involved, and what if we moved that and we add that, and then we suddenly realised there was a look forming,
For example, the distorted view plastic screens, a feature of double-decker buses, were originally used as the visors of the driver's helmets, but distortions of the actors' faces were not readily visible. Applying the same element to the computer, however, created interesting effects, as well as attesting to the jerry-rigged appearance of Brazil's technology, in which one machine is adapted or improved for another purpose, with form a distant second to function. One of the most humorous features of the Brazil look is the ever-present ducting that runs through almost every set, as well as the pneumatic tubes, telephone cables, and pipework that mirror it. Garwood.
Terry found this thing with the ducting. It was just sort of ducting going through a sort of room or whatever, and then the ducting then grew and grew because he thought, what if there was ducting not just in the sort of the poor areas? What if it was everywhere? That central services, just in the end, they just put the ducting everywhere. And if it was in a smart restaurant, then it would be, posh ducting. It would be ducting with the, mirrorball sort of squares on it or something like that. So it grew and grew, and as I say, the feeling and the spirit got more sort of outrageous. Once everybody got involved with it and knew the spirit of what Brazil was about, it was amazing because everybody would come up with great ridiculous ideas and say, what do you think about this? It's still Brazil, isn't it? I remember very clearly one day when Jim Atchison bought the drawing of the shoe hat into where I was working, to my office, and he said, this is too silly, isn't it? I said, Jim, it's just outrageous, it's wonderful. So, I mean, we were all encouraging each other to be stupid, not stupid, but just be as outrageous as we could.
George Gibbs and his special effects crew put together the prototype security camera, which prowls the lobby of the Ministry of Information. The radio-controlled unit, which could move around on treads, was constructed from odd bits of machinery, like lamps, valves, telescopic arms, used parts from radio manufacturers, and dental equipment. Jacqueline's secretary dutifully sits strapped to a one-handed typewriting machine, which was an old telex machine with the cover removed to reveal its inner workings. Gilliam spent about $2,000 to have designed and built the Executive Gift, a miniature guillotine-like device with a wind-up plumb bob that, when dropped, answers the hardest question for an executive, yes or no. The German aircraft manufacturer Messerschmitt produced a few models of three-wheeled bubble cars between 1953 and 1962, which offered tandem seating for two adults, provided they weren't too big. The Brazil production team obtained two of the cars, outfitting it with a rear propeller to make it look even stranger. Sadly, one of the Messerschmitts had to be deactivated outside the Buttles apartment building. One benefit from watching Brazil more than once is discovering the myriad propaganda posters and advertising signs that infiltrate and sometimes dominate the settings. Some of these signs were based on images from billboards or ads in 1930s and 40s magazines, in which feel-good messages were aimed at an audience beset by depression and war. For the ads and billboards littered throughout Brazil, evocative images of nature and of technological marvels to come were combined with slogans and selling lines, some for products of dubious merit, such as pine-scented bathroom tissue. What also helps give Brazil its sense of depth is the minutiae that the production team created, down to the letterheads of stationery. The following are examples of computer printouts, reports, receipts, dossiers, police arrest warrants, checks, and other paperwork that is the stuff of a suffocating life for Sam Lowry and the denizens of Brazil, including the dreaded 27B/6. Sam Lowry inhabits a monochromatic world. Sam's gray color scheme was reflected in both costumes and sets, as explained by Norman Garwood.
Certainly where Sam would work, we wanted that to be very monochromatic, very grey, very sombre. I mean, and that reflected in costume and in all the sets I did. It would be greys, blacks, whites. Actually, he was really just saying that this was drained of any colour of life, really. I mean, that was very devoid of any kind of colour. With the Clark's Pool, where Sam would work before he got promoted, I didn't want it to have any colour in so much as it was the mundaneness of it all, and their only bit of pleasure would be to try and tune in their TV monitors to an old film or something. But that was the little bit of sparkle in their very grey lives, and then the characters like Sam's mom would. That's where the beautiful bursts of colour would come, in so much as that was the difference between her life and the other poor people who were in this very colourless world of bureaucracy, and that her life was full of colour. I tried to emphasise that with her apartment, that it was Egyptian feeling and bright colours, and the bedroom where they finally make out together was just, again, a very beautiful and colourful sort of world.
The most unique and memorable location in Brazil was the interrogation chamber. Originally, Gilliam and Garwood had planned the scene to be set in a rectangular room, white and clinical, like the corridor outside Jacqueline's office. As they were scouting locations at a decommissioned power station in Croydon, they talked their way into a cooling tower to see what it was like. Garwood.
And we walked into this cooling tower, and it was this wonderful location. And I was going to build the torture room, and we had very much a different image for that in mind. And we walked in, and Terry and I both said, well, it's got to be the torture room, you know. So that one was really just an amazing find we had.
The exterior of Croydon Power Station was also dressed as the Information Retrieval Building. Abandoned for years, rancid, and filled with water and rats, the former CWS flour mill complex along the docks of London's East End served as exteriors for Shangri-La Towers, home of the Buttles, where Sam Lowry visits to offer a refund check. The interior of the mill provided the broken-down corridors and stairwells of Shangri-La Towers. Garwood had found a location for the clerk's pool at the Croydon Power Station, but was told they could not spend extended time there because the area was still radioactive. But while visiting the former flour mill, Garwood found a room filled with large wooden machines.
They were flour sifters. It's where the flour was shaken around, these big wooden machines. And what was amazing, it almost was like shouting out, you know, I want to be in the film, because there was ductwork going to these machines, and I thought, it's part there already, you know.
Downstairs at the flour mill, Garwood also found the corridors of the expediting department, to which Sam Lowry is transferred. Large concrete columns that seemed to go on forever, with large holes in the ceiling, where the flour originally fell through from 12-story grain silos to be loaded into trucks. Garwood built the set as far as he could go, making it into the shape of a cross, and had actors crossing 2/3 of the way down. And then right at the end, he got a scenic artist to paint a single-point perspective of the corridor, just disappearing to one pinpoint. It was a set which disappears to infinity almost, the longest corridor in the world. In contrast to those dark, dank settings that make up Sam's working life, the filmmakers used some brilliant, colorful locations to evoke a world just beyond his reach, a world of elegance, power, and privilege. Leighton House on Holland Park Road in Kensington was built in 1866 by architect George Acheson. Among its features is the Arab Hall, named for its Moorish influences, which sports a gilt dome, peacock blue tiles, marble columns, a gilt mosaic frieze, and fine tiles, woodwork, and ornaments brought from Damascus, Persia, and Rhodes. In the center of the room is a fountain carved out of a single block of black marble. The 1854 mansion Mentimore Towers, originally a residence for Baron Meyer de Rothschild, rested on 80 acres of woodland and ornamental grounds in Buckinghamshire, and in the 1970s became a center for the study of transcendental meditation. Its usefulness as a location was questioned by Gilliam on a scouting trip with Garwood.
It was basically a huge hall with a gallery going around on all four sides. We looked at it and Terry said, well, I don't think all the interest is high up, you know. Then I said, well, why don't I build a floor to lift everybody up so people come in and go up steps up to this high-level restaurant area first, and then we have the central columns of ducting in there as well.
The filmmakers initially met with resistance from some of the staff at Mentmore, who were slightly concerned that they wanted to come and build a restaurant in the middle of their hallway and then blow it up. An understandable sentiment, given that the hall's interior was predominantly glass. According to Garwood, by the time construction was completed and filming commenced, the hall's owners were so taken with the restaurant set that they asked if it could be left intact after shooting finished, ducks and all. The National Liberal Club, built in the 1880s on Whitehall Place in London, was the social hive of the Liberal Party, and even served as government facilities during World War I. In addition to shooting in the ornate winding staircase, the filmmakers used the club's exquisite billiards room as Mother's apartment. Like several of the locations used in Brazil, the Liberal Club no longer exists as it did. In 1984, most of the premises were sold and taken over by the neighboring Royal Horse Guards Hotel. The precinct streets surrounding Sam's apartment were shot at a post-modern housing project in the Paris suburb Marne-la-Vallée. Also located there was the semicircular plaza leading to a theater designed by the Spanish architect Ricardo Bofill, which served as Sam's pathway to the funeral parlor. The Rainbow Room, a disco on the top floor of a department store in Knightsbridge, served as the chapel of Our Lady of the checkout counter. Garwood had to hang a large white canvas from the ceiling to cover the flashing colored lights, which he was not allowed to take down. As seen in the following archival photographs and pictures taken on location scouts, the filmmakers were looking at varied architectural styles for the Ministry of Information, ranging from Art Deco to neoclassical to postmodern. Garwood and Gilliam had looked at many locations for the ministry's lobby, but could not come up with one that was suitable or available. Garwood finally decided to build the set, believing it cheaper than extending their search for a feasible location any further. The same set was used both for the Christmas-themed lobby at the Department of Records, where Sam runs into Jack Lint, and for the lobby of information retrieval, when Sam is promoted. Several other sets were also built at Lee International Studios in Wembley. The white-tiled corridor leading to Jack Lint's office was a build, and stood out from other settings at the ministry for its sterility. As the tiles were being laid into the walls, small bits of white card were inserted in order to keep the tiles an eighth of an inch apart so grouting could be added. Gilliam then came to the set before the tiles were grouted, with the cards sticking out like razor blades. Garwood.
And he said, "Can we leave it?" No, it was one of those things where I said, "It looks silly." No, I said, "It looks terrible." And he said, No. He said, "Leave it, please leave it." So we left it, and it did have a great quality. It looked like really dangerous. It was like a tile corridor with razor blades sticking out of it.
Jack's office had a curved wall hinting at the interrogation chamber next door. Another distinctive element of the set was the glass blocks that Garwood had obtained from Germany after spotting them in an old magazine.
I felt it was very much a Brazil feel. We tried them with one set, and they were so beautiful once we got them in, and it was one of those things that everyone said, they are amazing, and let's use them again, and then it was like a question of where else would they look really cool.
In addition to their unique aesthetic, they allowed for lighting from outside, and at the suggestion of DP Roger Pratt, lighting the padded cell from above and below. Other sets constructed included Sam's apartment and its adjoining balcony, Mother's mirrored bathroom, where Sam accepts his promotion, the technician's office, and the transport cage. The Monolith City dream sequences were also shot at Lee Studios. Other locations included the BP refinery on the Isle of Grain, Kent, as the hellish inferno where Jill picks up a mysterious package, and Cumbria in England's Lake District, where Sam and Jill's escape to the wilderness was photographed. Norman Garwood.
When I finished that movie, there were other offers. People would ring you up and say, we want this kind of Brazil look. And everybody knows what it is. Personally, once you've done it once, I don't think you can top that as a film to do. It's been imitated quite a few times, but I personally I wanted to shy away from doing anything like that again, because it was the time, it was when we did it, it was the people, it was just the mood at the time, I think, and Terry's influence, and all of us young whippersnapper designers. It was just so right for us all when that came out, and there was so much energy. I cannot tell you which went into that movie. That's what made it such a visual tour de force, I think, and it was just a big effort from everybody. It's one of those films that won't date because it never had a date, and I think that's the beauty of it. It'll have a look that will last forever, I think.